Story number 1, Francine. I never really believed in ghosts. When people told me about their paranormal experiences, I would secretly laugh at them. That all changed when I started volunteering at a childcare place. I would be there a few days a month. When I first started coming there, the kids would talk about Francine. Francine did this, and Francine did that. One time a kid came running to me saying that Francine was crying and needed help. I knew that there wasn't any child there by the name of Francine. I stopped one of the teachers and asked them about Francine. They said that it was an imaginary friend the kids had. One time we were all getting ready for lunch. I hadn't been there for quite some time, and there were 2 new kids at the daycare. The kids always have to wash their hands before and after a meal, and today it was my turn to make sure everyone washed their hands. One of the new kids, a girl, refused to wash her hands. She just stood there with her arms crossed. Several kids were standing in line, and I kept asking the girl to come and stand with us. I was in the middle of soaping up someone's hands when I saw her leave the washroom. I quickly rinsed my hands and called for another teacher to check the other kids. The washroom was next to a long corridor, and when I looked, the girl was already at the far end of the corridor. To the left, there was a door. She opened it and walked in, and closed the door behind her. I ran after and opened the door. Behind it wasn't really a room, more like a storage space. In there was an old vacuum cleaner and some brooms. I saw a light switch and turned the light on. I expected to see the girl crouching behind the vacuum cleaner, but there was nobody behind it, except for a big pile of dust. I moved the brooms and felt all along the walls with my hands. I thought there must be a hidden hatch or door somewhere, but there wasn't. I started freaking out. Where was this kid hiding? I walked around the whole daycare place, but she was nowhere to be found. I was really upset. Another teacher spotted me and asked me what was going on, and I completely broke down and told her I had lost one of the kids. Which one? She asked. One of the new ones, I said. She quickly walked into the dining area and then came back to me. The 2 new kids are at the tables eating, she said. We both went into the dining room and she told all the teachers to help count all the kids. Nobody was missing. I felt so stupid afterwards and confused. The 2 new kids looked nothing like the girl I had followed. I think that girl must have been Francine, playing a prank on me. Story number 2, A Day on the Beach. When I was a kid, I used to have severe asthma. I was an only child and my parents were very traditional. My dad worked and mom was a housewife. So it was basically me and her all day, every day. My mother was always worried about my breathing. She was constantly trying to find ways to make things easier and more comfortable for me. She had read somewhere that it was good for your lungs to breathe ocean air, so we used to spend a couple of hours on the beach every day. We sat on sun chairs next to each other. I would draw, listen to music, or just daydream. My mother loved to read and would usually bring a book. One day we sat in our chairs as usual. The beach wasn't too busy with people. There were just a few families and some teenagers playing in the water. I saw 3 girls walking along the shoreline. The weird thing about them was that they were holding hands. They must have all been under the age of 10. They had long white dresses and bows in their hair. Their faces looked serene. I sat there completely spellbound. They were walking at a strange pace, almost dancing to the sound of the waves hitting the shoreline. All I could hear was the waves. As they walked past, I tapped Mom, but she just continued reading. "Mom," I said, "look at those girls. Mom." Now she looked up. "Where?" "There," I said and pointed. "Where?" said Mom. "I can't see." And to my huge surprise, neither could I. They were completely gone. "They were just there," I said. I looked around at everyone else on the beach, but everyone was just running around doing their thing. Nobody around me seemed to have seen the girl except me. Mom laughed. "I guess I missed them. Maybe next time." So whenever we went to the beach, I would look for those 3 girls, but I never saw them again. I sometimes wonder who they were. Were they real or spirits? Were they sisters who had drowned? Whoever they were, and however they died, they seemed to be at peace. And they weren't alone. They had each other. Maybe they were taking one last walk along their favorite beach, saying goodbye to this world. Who knows? Story number 3. The subway. A couple of weeks ago, my brother was on his way home from his girlfriend. He decided to take the subway. The subway station was empty except for some drunk and a teenage girl leaning against the wall. The drunk stood really close to the girl and was rambling a load of gibberish. My brother could see that the girl was very uncomfortable. He stopped next to the two, made eye contact with the girl and asked her if she was okay. She nodded. The drunk looked strangely at my brother and then walked over to the other side of the station, talking loudly to himself, swearing, saying something about him not being crazy. My brother smiled to the girl, and he thought she looked thankful. He stood there for a while, playing with his phone. The drunk was pacing back and forth, still talking to himself. When he heard the sound of the subway train, he put his phone in his pocket and walked closer to the edge of the platform. He looked towards the girl and saw her standing in a very peculiar way. She looked like someone who was ready to bolt straight into the subway tracks. It all went really quickly. As the subway was entering the platform, the girl started running. My brother knew what was about to happen and screamed for her to stop. And she did stop. As the train stopped, she just stood there in the middle of the platform, staring at my brother. Then she vanished, right in front of his eyes. "And you think I'm crazy? Take a look at yourself." My brother turned. It was the drunk screaming and laughing. The doors to the subway train opened, and the drunk stepped into the train. My brother was so shook up that he couldn't move. He spent about 20 minutes just sitting on the floor of the platform, wondering what the hell just happened. Was he the only one who had seen the girl? The drunk seemed to think that my brother had asked him if he was all right. My brother left the subway station and took a cab. My brother must have looked like a wreck because the cab driver asked him if he had seen a ghost. Apparently, there are many ghost sightings in the subway. Some people think the subway is haunted by the spirits of people who committed suicide on the tracks. The whole experience has made my brother refuse to take the subway.